Hey guys, welcome to my channel today. Thank you so much for stopping by. In this video, I'll be cutting this really stylish dress that you can see on your screen. So the first thing I'll do is to start taking my points. The first point is the distance from my shoulder to my bust point, which is 10 inches. The next point is the distance from my shoulder to my under bust point, which is 13 inches. The next point is the distance from my shoulder to my waist point, which is 16 inches. The next point is the distance from my shoulder to my upper hip, not directly on my hip, before my hip. It is 20 inches. And the next point is the distance from my shoulder to my hip point, which is 24 inches. The last point is the length of my dress, and it's going to be 34 inches. So after marking all these dots, I'll go ahead and roll straight lines across. So go ahead and place your tape from your shoulder to your upper hip, and then you are going to use that measurement for the upper hip point. So after rolling out my lines, I went ahead to label my lines: the bust line, the under bust line, the waistline, the upper hip line, the hip line, and the dress length. The next thing I did was to go in by half of the shoulder measurement I'm working with, which is 7 inches. I indicated the 7 inches with a dot. On that dot, I went down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. So for my neck width, I took 3.5 inches, and for the depth, I am using 2 inches because it's a high neckline. So after doing that, I'll connect from the 3.5 inches neck width to the 1 inch shoulder slope like this, and then I'll also connect the neckline. Next thing I did was to go down by my armhole depth, which is 7.5 inches. After the shoulder slope, I'll go down by 7.5 inches, and I'll indicate the 7.5 inches. On the 7.5 inches dot, I'm going to make sure I have the same measurement that I have on the shoulder line, which is 7 inches. After doing that, I'm going to connect from the shoulder slope to the 7.5 inches dot, and then I'll roll a straight line across. So this new line is going to be the chest line. The next thing I'm doing is to divide the straight line. I marked the center. After marking the center, on that center, I'm going to come in by half an inch. I'll also indicate the half an inch with a dot. On the chest line, I went ahead to place my bust circumference divided by 4, and I indicated that with a dot. After doing that, I connected from the shoulder slope to the half an inch, and from there to the dot that I have on the chest line. The next thing I'm doing now is taking half of my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4 inches. I'm taking that measurement on all the lines except this chest line, so the line goes all the way to the length of the dress. After doing that, I'll take half an inch on both sides of the waistline. Okay, so I'll take half an inch to the left and half an inch to the right. On the bust line, I'll go down by 1 inch, and then I'm going to use my ruler to connect from the half an inch to the 1 inch like this. On the hip line, I'll go up by 2.5 inches. I'll indicate the 2.5 inches with a dot. So I'll connect from that dot to the waistline like this. So what I'll do now is to retake my neck width. So 3.5 inches is too wide for now, so I'm going to reduce it to 2.5 inches. I'll retake it later. So I'm going to mark 2.5 inches, and I'll connect from the 2.5 inches width to the 2 inches depth like this. So after connecting, I'll cancel the previous one, and I'll adjust the shoulder slope. So I'll slant all the way like this to the 2.5 inches. After doing that, I'm going to place my tape on the shoulder area, and what is left there, I'm going to divide it by 2. Okay, so you're going to fold your tape into 2. Make sure you're not measuring the neckline with it, okay, just the shoulder. So I'm going to mark the middle point of what I have. So on that middle point, I'm going to slant to the bust point, as you can see me doing. So after doing that, I'm going to take that on both sides of this straight line. So I'll be using half an inch on both sides. You can do 0.75 inches on both sides, or 1 inch on both sides. So after marking, I'll go ahead and connect it back to the bust point like this. After tightening the shoulder area, the next thing I'll do is to place my curved ruler on the center of this armhole area, and I'll connect from there to the bust line like this. After connecting, you're going to blend out any sharp edge. So I'll be taking that for the armhole area so it does not gape. So from that line, I'll go down by 1 inch, and I'll transfer the darts on the shoulder to the armhole area. Before I do that, I'm going to connect from the 1 inch that I came down with back into the curve that I have on the bust line, and then I'll measure the dart on the side and I'll replace it. So what I have on the dart area is 1/2 inch. I decided to add 1/2 inch to it, making it 1 inch. So I extended this line by 1 inch to transfer the dart to the armhole area. Okay. So what I'll do now is to start placing my measurements. On the chest line, I already have my bust circumference divided by 4. I'll replace this dart in between, which is 1 inch. On the under bust line, I'll place my under bust circumference divided by 4. I'll place the dart of 1/2 inch. On the waistline, I'll place my waist circumference divided by 4. I'll replace the 1 inch dart. I'll connect from the chest line to the under bust line, from there to the waistline like this. On the upper hip line, I'll place my upper hip circumference divided by 4, and I'll replace this tiny dart that I have there. On the hip line, I'll place my hip circumference divided by 4. So the same measurements I have on the hip line, I'm going to place on the base of the dress. After doing that, I'll connect from the waist to the upper hip, from there to the hip and to the base of the skirt. So I'm not adding stitching allowance yet. The next thing I'll do is to close up the shoulder dart. To do that, I'm going to open up the armhole dart. As you can see, I'll stop on the bust line. Okay, do not cut it out completely, and I'll open one side of the shoulder dart. As you can see me doing, I'll use it to cover the other one. So once you cover it up, you see that the line on the shoulder is no longer aligning. We'll adjust that soon. So after closing up the dart, I'll use my pins to hold it down, and I'll retake the neck width. So from the shoulder area, I came in by 1.5 inches, which is how wide the shoulder of my dress is going to be. So what I'll do now is to now connect from that point to the 2 inches neck depth. So it's a Keno neckline. It's really wide, so that is why I'm connecting all the way from there. So this is what I have after connecting. Okay, and you can see the tiny shoulder that we have there is 1.5 inches. So the next thing we'll do now is to work on the hip. So the reason why I added my upper hip line on this pattern paper is because I don't want the exaggerated hip to start on the main hip line. I want it to start on the upper hip line. So that is why the line is here. So on that upper hip line, I'm going to go out by 3 inches, and I'll indicate the 3 inches with a dot. On the waistline, I don't want the curve to start from the waistline, so I'll go down by 1.5 inches. I'll indicate the 1.5 inches with a dot. On the hip line, I'm going to go out also by 3 inches. I'll indicate the 3 inches with a dot. After doing that, I'll use the curved part of my roller to connect, as you can see me doing, from the 1.5 inches that I came down with to the upper hip line, from there to the hip line. Okay, so you're going to use your pencil first of all to drag this out before using your marker to outline it. On the base of the dress, I went out by 4 inches because I wanted to have like a pointy effect on the base. So I'm going to slant, as you can see me doing, from the base to the hip line like this. Now that I'm satisfied with what I have, I'm going to use my marker to mark it out. I came down by 1.5 inches on the waistline. I decided to make it 1 inch. Okay, so it's more convenient for me to connect from there to the upper hip line. So I placed my tape and I went down by 1 inch. Now I'll place my ruler on the 1 inch and connect, as you can see me doing. So after connecting, if you notice any sharp edge, you can go ahead and blend it out. Okay, so this is what we have for the exaggerated hip. So after connecting now, I'm going to go ahead and cut. So please pay close attention so you know where to cut. After cutting, guys, this is what I have. So I want to add a little bit of volume to the dress. If you sew it like this, it's still going to come out fine, but I want to add volume to the side. So I'm going to mark out my upper hip line and the hip line. So I'll be placing an extra piece of pattern paper from the upper hip line. That is why I labeled the line. You're going to use your pins to hold it down. So on the base of the dress, I'm going to extend it out by 4 inches, and I'm going to slant from the upper hip line into the 4 inches, as you can see. So I'll cut off the excess pattern paper. So this is going to give your dress that volume. Okay, so this is what we have for this part. I'm going to repeat the same thing for the center front. Okay, so I'll place my pattern paper underneath this, and I'll use my pins to hold it down. Make sure the length is the same. Then you're going to go out by 4.5 inches on the base, and you slant from the upper hip line all the way, and then you cut out. So after doing that, this is what I have for my front pattern. So we're going to go ahead and draft out the back. So all you have to do when cutting on your fabric is to add, the center front should be on fold, the side you'll be joining, you're going to be adding half an inch all the way. On the neckline area, the shoulder area, and the armhole area, you'll be adding half an inch. And on the side, you'll be adding stitching allowance. Remember, we didn't add stitching allowance while we're drafting, so you'll be adding 1 inch stitching allowance on the side. So for the back, I've gone ahead to roll out my lines, which is exactly what we did for the front. First of all, I took out my zipper allowance of 1 inch, and I marked out my points. First point is the bust point, second point is the under bust point, the waist point, the upper hip point, the hip point, and the dress length. So next thing I'll do is to go in by half of my shoulder measurement, which is 7 inches. On that 7 inches dot, I'm going to go down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. For my neck width, I'll be using 2.5 inches for now. I will indicate the 2.5 inches with a dot. After doing that, I'll slant from the 2.5 inches to the 1 inch shoulder slope like this. The neck depth, I'm taking 1.5 inches, so I'm going to connect like this, and I will extend it into the zipper allowance. The next thing I'll do is to go down by my armhole depth, which is 7.5 inches. So I'm marking from the shoulder slope. I'll go down by 7.5 inches. I'll indicate the 7.5 inches with a dot. On that dot, I'll make sure I have the same 7 inches that I have on the shoulder line. If what you have on the shoulder line is not what you have on that dot, go ahead and adjust it. After doing that, I'll connect from the shoulder slope to the 7.5 inches dot in a straight line, and I'll roll a straight line across also. I'm going to mark the middle point of the straight line. On that middle point, I'm going to come in by half an inch. I'll also indicate the half an inch with a dot. On the bust line, I'll place my bust, on the chest line, I'll place my bust circumference divided by 4. I'll indicate that with a dot. After doing that, I'll connect from the shoulder slope to the half an inch, and from there to the dot that I have on the chest line. Next thing I'll do is to take half of my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4 inches. I'm taking this measurement on all the lines down to the dress length, and then I'm going to connect all the dots into a straight line. After doing that, I'll be taking half an inch on both sides of the waistline, and on the bust line, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. After doing that, I'll connect from the 1 inch to the half an inch on the waistline like this. On the hip line, I'm going to go up by 2.5 inches. I'll indicate the 2.5 inches with a dot. After doing that, I'll connect from the 2.5 inches upward to the waistline like this. So the next thing I'll do now is to place my measurements. I already have my bust circumference divided by 4 on the chest line. So on the under bust line, I'll place my under bust circumference divided by 4. I'll replace the dot. On the waistline, I'll place my waist circumference divided by 4, and I'll replace the dot. On the upper hip line, I'll place my upper hip circumference divided by 4, and I'll replace the dot. On the hip line, I'll place my hip circumference divided by 4, and on the dress length, I'll place the same measurement that I have on the hip line. After doing that, I'll connect the points together. So the next thing I'll do is to come down by 1 inch on the waistline, and on the upper hip line, I'm going to go out by 3 inches. On the hip line, I'll also go out by 3 inches. After doing that, I'm going to use my ruler to connect So while I was connecting, I didn't realize that my camera stopped recording. I only got to find out after connecting, but this is the same thing that we did for the front pattern paper. I connected from the 1 inch to the 3 inches that I extended on the upper hip line. From there, I also connected to the hip line, that is the 3 inches also that I extended on the hip line. On the base, I went out by 4 inches and then I slanted from the hip line to the 4 inches like this. So this is what we have for the back hip. So the next thing I'll do is to connect from the center of the armhole to the bust point. I'm using the straight part of my roller. I'm going to connect like this. You can see that it has like a curved effect there and we don't need that. So on the armhole area, I came down by 1 inch. What I'll do now is to place my roller on the 1 inch and I'll connect back into the dart. So I'm doing this because I don't want the bust point to be sharp. Okay, we don't need that curve for the back, so I connected twice into the dart area. So the next thing I did was to extend the waistline into the zipper allowance. So what I'll do now is to take out half an inch from the zipper allowance on the waistline. I'll connect upward like this and I'll connect downward like this. I'm doing this to eliminate zipper bulge. So the next thing I'll do now is to come in by 1.5 inches, which is going to be the width of my shoulder, and then you're going to figure out how deep you want the back neckline to be. As you can see on the thumbnail, it is very deep. I want mine to stop on the under bust line, so I'm going to connect all the way from the shoulder to the under bust line like this. So this is the shape that I want for my back, so you can determine what shape you want for your own back. So I'm going to be cutting through these lines that I'm already highlighting. I'll also use my roller to outline the darts, so this is what I'll be cutting through. So after doing that, now I'm going to go ahead and cut, so please pay close attention so you know where to cut. After cutting, guys, this is what I have for the back. Make sure you also trim out the zipper area. So you're going to take that on this part because we don't want it to gape since it does not have a sleeve. So what I did was to fold in about 1 inch on this part. Okay, I'm just folding it in because I don't want it to gape at the back because it's too long. So I went ahead to fold in 1 inch. I'll use my pin to hold it down. Okay, so you have to take in the dart like this before you cut on your fabric. So after folding it in, this is what I have. So the last thing I'll do is to add extra pattern paper to the base, the bodice of the dress, just like I did for the front. So this is totally optional, especially if you don't want your dress to be too full. So I'm going to add extra pattern paper from the upper hip line and I'm going to use my pins to hold it down. So you're going to extend the base by 4 inches. We're repeating the same thing that we did for the front, and make sure the length is the same. So I'll just extend it out like this and I'll cut out the excess pattern paper. I'll repeat the same thing for this other end. I'll extend it out and I'll cut out the excess pattern paper. So after doing that, guys, this is what we have. So all you have to do is to fold your fabric into two and then you're going to cut out what you have. Then you add your stitching allowance all the way around. Okay, so yeah, that is all for this tutorial. I hope it was helpful. Don't forget to like this video, leave your questions in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.